The God Knights are not playing around this week. Every single person in this chapter who is not a God Knight catches a fat L. Except for Luffy and Loki, who are still chilling in the underworld having a gourmet buffet. Let's start with the cover page. It seems like Ulti has gained respect for Yamato after saving her life and wants to become her subordinate. We all knew where this cover page was headed. Since Wano ended, immediately I was like, where is Ulti? What's gonna happen to Ulti? And I wanted this exact situation to happen. So seeing it play out regardless makes my day. I'm putting this whole cover story up in the top 3 for me. Say what y'all want, I love Ulti. I think Ulti is the coolest Toby rope. Let's get into the chapter. The chapter starts off where we left off last chapter with the Colin pirates being confronted by Gunko. Everyone on the ship comes to the conclusion that Gunko is one of the humans that have been attacking the village. And y'all know how the celestial dragons go. Gunko's like, human? What do you mean? I'm a god. Usopp's reaction to this is my reaction to this, because what is this? It's like the 5th, 6th antagonist the Straw Hats have come across where they have some crazy god complex, and Usopp is like, oh brother, another one. We cut the Franky's group and it looks like they've taken down the giant cloud that was attacking them. And say what you want about Elbaf's pacing, but there was a time in One Piece where Franky would have been fighting that cloud for about 5 chapters. So seeing it pretty much being off screen and we were moving on from it is great. And that's why I have no problems with the pacing so far in Elbaf. Y'all have to understand that not everything that happens in One Piece is going to be some jaw-dropping fight or some jaw-dropping mystery. Stuff like having our protagonist outside of the main group deal with stuff like this is important. One Piece is known for world building, and with world building, you're gonna have some things that you may not really care about. But that's the point. Not everything in our world we care about, you know? Not every aspect of our lives we care about. I feel like Oda's been handling the pace of Elbaf and the balance between the building of the story and the excitement that comes with the story itself. We get back to the Colin pirates. They seem to have come to the conclusion that Gunko is a celestial dragon. Surprise, surprise. But what surprised me in this chapter, Brook is the only one in the group who is like, oh, these could possibly be the God Knights. Not even Jinbei says that. I've always been interested in Brook, but this makes me a lot more interested in Brook. Because y'all have to see it like this. We've gotten a Brook backstory. We've seen how Brook and his crew died, but we know nothing about Brook's upbringing. We know nothing about how he carried himself as a pirate. We barely know anything about his captain outside of how he died. There's been a lot of times Brook has given some sort of significant knowledge to the story, and we're just like, oh, Brook's lived for like 80 plus years, so of course he knows this, but like, we barely know anything about Brook. If we ever get more from Brook one day, for one, I called it, y'all were here for it, and for 2, it would genuinely make my day, because I feel like there's something that Oda's not telling us. That's all. And it's a gut feeling. A lot of my theories and feelings about One Piece are gut feelings, so I'm interested to see where this can go. If you made it this far in the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I plan on doing this for a very long time, so if you want to join me, feel free. And back to the video. Nami begins to wind up an attack on Gunko because she is not going to let Colin be taken that easily. And we get a new attack from Nami called Thunder Shark Tempo. And this right here, I'm looking at it right now. This right here is my favorite attack from Nami. And seeing stuff like that makes me wish that we could get a new One Piece fighting game, because stuff like this that I'm looking at, I want to be able to do that. I want to see that in a video game. If you give me a One Piece fighting game with 200 plus characters, I don't care if it's $80. I don't care if it's $100. I'm buying the bundle and I'm pre-ordering it. Y'all feel me? And I'm not joking about that. I don't play about One Piece, all right? But back to the chapter. Gunko uses her arrows to redirect Nami's attack back at her. And with that, we get one of my favorite gags. It's only happened like, I think this is the second time that this has happened. The attack looks like it hits Nami, and we see the skeleton like it's being electrocuted, but it actually turns out to be Brook. Outside of Nami punching Brook, they don't have that many, you know, interactions, but stuff like this, it warms my heart. Usopp stands up to attack Gunko. And you know, I was talking a lot of mess about Usopp last chapter. I guess I apologize. The attack hits, and at first it looks like he did some actual damage to her, and he even thinks that he killed her, But it turns out that Gunko can regenerate, and it looks like the same regeneration that we've seen from the Gorosei. And with that being said, not even Gear 5 Luffy could keep the Gorosei down. So if the God Knights have this same exact ability with their busted devil fruits, like Quiham, if he can regenerate on top of everything else that he has in his bag, the God Knights are up there. We're gonna have to put them in some sort of conversation. I know y'all don't like talking about Yonko versus God Knights, but there's gonna have to be a conversation. It's gonna be an uncomfortable conversation to have, but come on, y'all. Come on. Maybe if there's like a direct weakness to this regeneration power that the God Knights and the Gorosei have, maybe that will like put them down a bit. But as of right now, the God Knights are pretty scary. I'm not gonna lie. You have to respect the God Knight. And while all of this is going on, Gunko is talking about how the world was not supposed to know that it was going to end, and that there would be a huge war that will engulf the whole entire world. I know we say this every single arc, but this would be a wonderful time for Dragon to show up. He was the one who introduced us to the God Knights. He was the one that said, hey, when the God Knights move, it's time for us to move. Dragon, it looks like the God Knights are moving. And hear me out, if Dragon were to pull up to Elbaf, maybe he could tell the Straw Hats what to do about the regeneration that the God Knights have, that the Gorosei have. Maybe he knows their weakness, and maybe he has the ability to maybe take them out. On top of the devil fruits that I've seen the God Knights have and the regeneration, someone's gonna have to do something. And I'm looking at you, Dragon. Stand up. Stand up. Dragon, please. Gunko ends up taking Colin, and Jinbei and Brook both unleash an attack that ends up being redirected by Gunko's arrows, and they end up hitting each other. And with that, Gunko easily takes out the entire Colin pirates without breaking much of a sweat at all. I know nobody on that ship is like Sanji, Zoro, Luffy, but you have to put respect on Gunko's name for easily taking these people out. I thought they were going to at least put up some sort of fight. They didn't put up any fight whatsoever, and they were trying. We cut back to Quiham, and I don't know if I'm tripping or not, but did he just pick up a giant and slam him by his beard? I'm not one to have that much respect for a giant and their strength based off of what we've seen since Marineford, but that's kind of crazy. At the end of the day, it's a giant, and he's easily slamming one by his beard on the ground. This chapter really does show the full strength of the God Knights, even though we haven't even seen everything that they can do. I'm scared. And we see Ange, I always get her name wrong. I'm gonna say Ange. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, please. But Ange is like, oh, my body, it won't move. And when I first read that, immediately in my head, I was like, Cap, you're lying. But it turns out Quiham used his power to put her into sleep mode. And even with that, I'm still calling Cap. It does not make sense for her to be the only teacher to make it out unscathed completely. Why is the principal being slammed on the ground, but she's just being restricted? Even though it's explained, it doesn't sit right with me. And I'm still on the side that she is a dirty traitor. Until I see her save some kids, or until I see her stand up and attack one of the God Knights, she's a traitor. Easy. Come on now. Quiham ends up going up to the Dingo Mushi and tells Summers to connect to it so he can send out a message to all of Elbaf. We cut to Summers, who is fighting off Saul. Saul has been through it this whole entire arc, but it looks like Summers has turned his sword into like this huge spiky club that's almost the size of Saul himself. Like I said in the beginning, there's not a single character outside of one who has made it out unscathed. And that's not counting Robin and Chopper, who are currently hiding inside of Saul's beard. Saul ends up passing out, and Summers is like, library? Y'all are supposed to be the greatest warriors ever. I don't like the Giants. I don't respect their current strength. But at the same time, I think they should be able to go to school and learn stuff. I don't agree with war itself. I don't think people should be fighting wars for the sake of fighting wars and constantly be preparing to fight a war in a never-ending cycle. Summers ends up bringing up King Harold and saying this is all his fault. Summers seems genuinely upset at the fact that King Harold ended up screwing them over. So when we have this conversation about King Harold, I don't believe he was a bad king at all. Anyone who is pissing off the God Knights to this extent isn't bad. My theory about King Harold is that he genuinely does care about the Giants and his people. And maybe he made a deal with the government to be their warriors at some point for the safety of Elbaf as a whole. And at some point, maybe something changed in him for whatever reason for him to be like, no, I don't want my people to constantly be going to war and never evolving and never learning and never growing, and he betrayed the government. I'm interested to get more information about him. If you made it to the end of this video, you pretty much have no choice but to subscribe. I know you like what I have to say at that point. Come on. But seriously though, feel free to join my crew. I appreciate my current community now. I love the support. If you want to subscribe, feel free. And yeah, have a good day.